What is the Premier League? It's that division that Forest still can't get into, so I probably have no clue what I'm talking about here, even though I have spent about 2 days researching this, so, hopefully it pays off. If you do enjoy this, please, I would urge you very much to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That would be fantastic if you could do that, but let's get into it. 20th place, I have gone for Watford. It's a simple solution, but I just think overall they have a lack of Premier League quality. Their defence worries me a little bit. They've got a lot of strikers, the likes of obviously João Pedro with a lot of potential ahead of him. Troy Deeney, Andre Gray, who is linked with a move away. They have signed Josh King, which I think is a great bit of business. So I think their attack maybe could be what saves them. I want to make it clear that predicting these bottom three was so hard. I couldn't do it. It took me hours, days in fact, to settle on it. So please don't kill me in the comment section. I could have quite easily put Watford in 17th, but I put them 20th instead. One more thing about Watford, the fact that the last time they were in the top flight, they were there for 5 straight seasons, and a lot of these players were in that team. Now, of course, ultimately these players got the team relegated, obviously. However, they've been there and done it before. They've got a lot of Premier League experience. Which you look at the likes of Brentford, you'll see where I put them very, very soon. They haven't, so that could be why maybe Watford do finish higher than 20th. Speaking of Brentford, 19th place, that's where they are. This could be a very, very stupid decision or a very, very smart one, because I think Brentford will either do what Sheffield United did and have an absolute blinder, get top 10, or they'll be absolutely demolished. And I think it's going to be more the latter, to be honest. That might be easier to say. I'm not one of them that doesn't have a clue about what even the Championship is, and I don't have a clue about Brentford at all. I know full well we've played Brentford several times, being a Championship fan. I think it's a very similar situation to Teemu Pukki at Norwich when they were last in the Premier League. Can he, i.e. Ivan Toney, really, really step up and be their main man? And especially in the fact that behind Ivan Toney, I don't really have much faith, because there isn't really anyone that you think, yeah, they can step up if, say, Toney was to get injured. Because if Toney gets injured, I think they're done for. But then again, this entire attack was the most highest scoring attack in the Championship last season. So could it be a case, a bit like with Peterborough in the Championship, like I mentioned in my Championship version of this? Could it be a case of the fact that they have to outscore teams to stay up? Maybe. But then again, it hasn't really worked that well for Peterborough, given the fact that they lost 3-0 to Luton in their first game. So, On to Newcastle United in 18th place. I don't want Newcastle to go down, because for me, they're a team that should be in the Premier League. They're a massive club. Newcastle United should not be a team that should be worrying about relegation, but that's all they do every year. Just survive, Just survive. And, I'd swap, to be honest, as a Forest fan, but still, it's not really the most encouraging signs at all, given the fact that they've not signed a single player. Not a single player. The only player they're linked with is Joe Willock, and he was there last season, and ultimately, Joe Willock is the reason why they stayed up. He scored in the last 7 games. It was the last 7 games of last season. So the fact that he's coming back is very, very encouraging. But they needed a lot more than that. And I was convinced at one stage last season that Newcastle were going to go down, even with Willock. It would be really sad to see them go down. But especially under Steve Bruce, still with Mike Ashley as their owner, he doesn't care about that club. He's a businessman at the end of the day. I don't see Newcastle's look continuing much longer. I could see them staying up because they do that a lot. But how long is that going to continue for? 17th place, I actually think they're going to do it for once. I think they're going to stay up. Norwich City. The likes of Cantwell, Pukki, Aarons, Hanley, some of their best players, they're more ready. They're more ready for this level. Whereas before, I don't think they were. They've had another year in the Championship. They eased the title even more than they did previously, arguably. In my opinion, they did anyway. Plus the fact they've made some great signings. Rashina has come in from Werder Bremen. 27 goals and 19 assists in 100 games in Germany. A very, very impressive record. Now, of course, we have to mention his name. He's obviously replaced Emi Buendia. Now, the fact that he's gone is the fact that maybe you could say Norwich could go down. I don't think it's all lost for Norwich, given the fact that they've lost him. It's a big blow, and I don't think we can underestimate how big of a blow it's going to be. to lose Emi Buendia, but they've made good signings to replace him. Billy Gilmore on loan from Chelsea, Angus Gunn coming back in from the Saints, of course, Ben Gibson coming in from Burnley. They have made some smart business right there. They haven't really lost anyone major bar Buendia. So I do think Norwich finally could stay up, and I think under Daniel Farke, they've got a vision there to stay in the Premier League with him, and they trust him. 16th, I've gone for Southampton. 2021, the less said about it, the better for Southampton fans, because it has been diabolical for them. But a few wins here and there, it really has not been enjoyable at all. Only 3 wins in the last 10, and that's just telling half the story. The fact that they've lost Danny Ings, out of nowhere, quite frankly. Ryan Bertrand has gone to Leicester. James Ward-Prowse could also be following Danny Ings to Aston Villa. If they lose him, I think they're done for. He's their captain. He's their leader. The only exciting thing about Southampton right now is potentially signing Adam Armstrong from Blackburn Rovers. I think Adam Armstrong is a great signing, but other than that, they've been very quiet and they're in a losing mentality. Like I mentioned with Sheffield United in the Championship video, it's hard to get out of that. They're on dreadful form and I don't see it improving. And it's sad because the start of last season, the first half of it, they were going for Europe. They were first. I mean, it was only like a week that they were first, you know. They were doing great. And it's a real shame to see them drop off this much. 15th, I'll let you have a guess, because it's pretty standard, this team. Yep, you got it right. Burnley. This team could have the worst start in Premier League history, but they would still survive because of one man, i.e. Sean Dyche. Now, his contract expires at the end of this season. Is he going to continue to stay at a club? And it is his club, you know, it's his heart. And he is the heart of Burnley Football Club. But is he going to continue staying at a team that's just achieving nothing year after year? Bar that year where they got Europa League football and didn't even qualify for the main event. Nothing's happened at Burnley particularly special, bar survival. It's also disappointing on the transfer market, given the fact that they've got new owners. You thought maybe they might put their hands in the pocket a little bit more, but no. The only big money that they've spent on any player is Nathan Collins from Stoke, which is ironic because Stoke and Burnley are pretty similar in terms of footballing style. £12 million, and it's great. It really is great that they've now got proper competition for Ben Mee and James Tarkowski. I'm just pleased it's not Joe Wall. They're going to have to again rely on the likes of Dwight McNeil, Chris Wood to step up again. And I think they can do that, you know. They'll just do it. This is what Burnley do. They'll stay up again. 14th, Brighton. XG. Brighton, if they had scored their goals, if XG counted, they would have got European football. I apologise for that. Aaron Connolly, Neil Maupay, Danny Welbeck, they're good players. They really are, all of them individually. But together, if Danny Welbeck, what am I on about? Danny Welbeck isn't on form, you have Aaron Connolly, and Danny Welbeck is not the player he used to be. Nah, they need a striker. Why haven't they signed one? They've still got Basuma, which is like a new signing in itself, because he could literally walk into, maybe not a top 6 club, but he could easily play for one. And I think he could quite easily be the next player to follow Ben White to Arsenal. And the fact that they've sold him for £50 million is absolutely unbelievable, quite frankly. But then again, they don't want to lose him, so they're going to offer and ask for that much. 13th, Crystal Palace. I think it's a really exciting time at Selhurst Park, but I think it is more of a long-term project because under Patrick Vieira, I think it's a breath of fresh air. Roy Hodgson for many years just, you know, did the standard Crystal Palace thing being mid-table. I think it's going to be more of the same this season, but we are going to see better football from them. We're going to see more promise that in the future they're going to be a lot better because they already had exciting young players in that squad with Eze coming in last season, Tyrick Mitchell, Nathan Ferguson as well. But they've now gone and signed a load of other young players with brilliant potential. Marco Elise from Reading, Mark Gucci, that's his name, something like that. Professionalism. I need to learn how to say names. That's a rule I'm going to make myself do, you know. Learn names properly. But he was a star in the Championship for Swansea last season, more than Premier League ready. Conor Gallagher, one of the few bright sparks in a very poor West Brom side. I think he'll do very well under a manager like Patrick Vieira. And again, even Patrick Vieira, still quite new to the managerial game. I think they've got a really exciting future ahead, Crystal Palace. The fact that they've still got Wilfried Zaha, Benteke actually started scoring goals again last season. I think Palace have got quite a nice future ahead of them. 12th place, Wolves, a new era. No more Nuno Espirito Santo. How is that going to affect them? Obviously, just for the bants, they had to go and sign another Portuguese manager. Bruno, what did I just say? I can't pronounce names, but then again, it is Portuguese. Bruno Langa, I believe, something like that. When he was at Benfica, his last club, it didn't end that well because he equalled the worst record consecutively without winning a game. So, that isn't really that encouraging for Wolves, really, is it? They have lost Rui Patricio to Roma to go and play under Jose Mourinho, of course. They signed Olympiacos as goalkeeper. So, that's a very solid replacement, quite frankly. I'm really surprised as well, given the fact that Wolves don't have Europe this season. And ultimately, Wolves, they underperformed last season after having 2 fantastic first years back in the top flight. It was like a hit back down to reality last year, really, for Wolves. And I do think they're going to do slightly better. Nothing major. Oh dear. 11th place, Everton. Just boring. It's boring at that club. Every year they do this. They hype them up. They say that, okay, we're the best of the rest, as they, the pundits call them. They've always been called that, Everton. They're a massive club that underperformed. They're going to have a nice, brilliant new stadium very soon. And they just achieve nothing. And their transfer business baffles me. They've lost, obviously, Carlo Ancelotti. He really is quite a massive snake, quite frankly. But they've replaced him with Rafa Benitez. I have never seen a fan base so united against the manager when they've just been, obviously, appointed. Probably have before, to be honest. But, ex-Liverpool didn't go down well from the very start. If Everton struggle, that is going to stick in Everton fans' minds, and I don't really see them backing them that easily at all. The transfer business is incredibly underwhelming. Andros Townsend and Demarai Gray. I mean, how average can you get? I haven't done what some people are going to do for this club and drop this team from 6th, big clue there, to 14th, that being West Ham. I have still got a bit of faith in them, but everyone's going to say this, of course. They've got European football, but it is a very, very true reason. I think they're going to struggle, to be quite honest, as a result of that. But again, nothing major, because 10th is still a great finish for West Ham. But based from last season, when they were fighting for top 4, they are still going to struggle. When you compare the two, it is struggling. Craig Dawson permanently signed Alphonse Areola. A brilliant bit of business there from PSG as a goalkeeper, coming in on loan. Bit of a shame they couldn't get him permanently. Obviously, they don't have Jesse Lingard anymore either, and he carried them when he was there on the second half of last season. They don't have a striker, and Lingard made up for that last year, but he's not there anymore. The only striker they really have is Antonio, but he isn't really a striker, he's more of a winger, and his legs are made of jelly. They still do have exciting players in that team and reasons to be optimistic. Soufal and Souček, the Czech players, of course. Obviously, Declan Rice is going to stay most likely, which is fantastic for them. Jarrod Bowen had a brilliant season last time out as well. They've got reasons to be excited, but I don't see them doing quite as well. Leeds United, 9th place. The Marcelo Bielsa revolution continues. They couldn't really have done any better if they tried last season. I mean, they could argue, they could have finished higher, technically. The highest you can finish is first, but they weren't going to do that. But my point is, for a promoted team, finishing 9th was incredible. And I do not see them getting hit with second season syndrome at all, because this team is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Rafinha, for starters, in that team. Calvin Phillips proved all the doubters wrong. And to be quite honest, I'll be honest, Calvin, including me. Junior Firpo from Barcelona. Yeah, that's Barcelona to Leeds United. Jack Harrison permanently in as well. 38 appearances last season, 8 goals, 8 assists. Need I say any more? Brilliant bit of business again. I think Leeds this season, instead of being about 9th to 14th all season, they'll be about 11th to 6th. Challenging for Europe, but ultimately I think they won't be quite good enough to get it. 8th place, Spurs. Their glory years are over, in which they won 0 trophies. Harry Kane, obviously he's sick and tired of that, so he wants to leave. If he does stay, it's a Harry Kane that doesn't want to be at Tottenham Hotspur anymore. If he goes to City, who the hell is going to score their goals? The fact that they've kept Son Heung-min for 5 years, the fact that he's 5 years as well, is ridiculous. They must have brainwashed him, because why on earth does he want to stay at that club? Because Spurs are still a big team, but they're not really heading in the right direction. They're going backwards. And again, we all laugh at Spurs like I just did there for not winning anything, but they were going in a really strong direction. Champions League final, they reached the League Cup final, they were getting top 4 consistently, and now they've had, 2 straight seasons without that? It is concerning for Spurs. Brian Gill coming in for £22 million from Sevilla. I probably said his name wrong, but you know me by now. 30 appearances, 4 goals, 5 assists last season in all competitions. A good bit of business there. He is a winger, by the way, if you weren't aware of him. Christian Romero coming in on loan from Atalanta as centre-back. Obviously, they need him to fill the void of Toby Alderweireld. He is now left as well. That iconic partnership that they had for so many years of Vertonghen and Alderweireld have gone now. The fact that they've signed only one player for big money really says a lot about the state of the club, and they're still recovering from all the money that they spent on their stadium, really, aren't they? 7th place, I've fallen for the hype, but with good reason. Aston Villa. I am so impressed with this club, and they're, for me, and I've mentioned it before, they're one of my favourite teams out, away from Forest, because I've got so much respect for them. The way they've gone about this Grealish thing just says it all. They knew full well they were going to lose Grealish, okay? Everyone knew that. They knew full well they were going to lose him. I think they knew for sure before the Euro started that he was going to go to City. And I think Jack's performances at the Euros really did sum it up. The fact that he was more than ready to play at that level now. They haven't just done what some clubs would do and just not replace their star player. My God, they've done that. Not just with one big name, putting the pressure on it. They don't want to be known as Grealish FC anymore. They want to be known as Aston Villa. Hence why they've gone and signed Leo Bailey, Danny Ings and Emi Buendia. They haven't just gone and signed one big name with that money. And I think it's brilliant. Really smart business. Because Villa needed players in those positions anyway. So let's go and do a bit of business all over the gaff. Tuanzebe coming back in to help out with Mings and Konza. Now as a very, very established Premier League team. Obviously he was in the Championship previously. And then also you've got Ashley Young coming back. I think it's a really, really exciting time for Aston Villa. Anyway, on to Arsenal. Yes, I put Arsenal back in the top 6. There's one big reason for that. No European football. No distraction. Mikel Arteta can prove to himself potentially that maybe he is the right man. That's another topic. I don't think they've really improved that much at all. They've signed a few good players. Nuno Tavares from Benfica, of course. Obviously Ben White from Arsenal for 50 million quid. Ridiculous amount of money, but still, he is going to help them out. I think Arsenal's future is more positive than negative. The likes of Saka and Nketiah, also Gabriel at the back, Smith Rowe, they've got young players in that team that are only going to get better. So I think the future for Arsenal is good, but maybe a year off from Europe will help them out. I think it is definitely what they needed. 5th place, Leicester City. I'd love to see Leicester get top 4. I really, really would. They're one of those teams that you root for. All the big 6. You don't really like any of them, but Leicester, the last few years they've been trying so hard to really break that top 6, and fair play to them because they've done it the last 2 years, but not quite enough to get top 4. They've brought it on the last day for 2 years in a row now, somehow. Like, how's that possible? They have made some good signings. Obviously, Daka has come in to help out with Vardy and Kelechi Iheanacho. A bit like with Grealish, they're probably preparing there for life without Vardy, their talisman. Daka looks really good so far from what I've seen of him. Ryan Bertrand, like I mentioned earlier, coming in for free from Southampton, I think is a smart bit of business. He certainly isn't, the next big thing, but it's a solid bit of business to help out at left back. Obviously, they need a left back now that Christian Fuchs has gone. It's also worth pointing out as well that they've lost Wesley Fofana for pretty much the whole year from a hard tackle in pre-season. That is absolutely gutting for them. Right, this is the thing. I think the top 4, bar the team in first place, it could be in any order, and I think it would work out. I could see it happening. So it really is just a case of just really, really narrowing down your options as to why certain teams should finish in certain places. So I've gone for Man United in 4th place. Maybe a bit of a surprise, but I think it's fair. Jadon Sancho, the only real business that they've done. Fantastic business as well. I'm so excited to see what he's going to do. They could also be getting Rafael Varane. That still is not confirmed, even though it was confirmed about a week ago that he was going to join. So I don't really know what's going on there. But ultimately, Man United want trophies. And yet again, last season, it may have been a step in the right direction, coming second in the Premier League at the Europa League final. But it's still, every year since 2017 now, a year without a trophy. And that is not good enough for Manchester United standard at all. I think the midfield is what's going to let them down. If they get Varane, that's Maguire and Varane. That is phenomenal. then Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka. However, their midfield, apart from Pogba, who only has a year left on his contract, could be leaving potentially. Maybe not this summer, but next season he could be leaving. Apart from him, it isn't that inspiring for me. Matic, just to start off. McTominay, Pereira, Van der Beek, an expert bench warmer right there. It isn't that encouraging. McTominay's not bad, and Van der Beek ain't bad, but he just needs to play a bit more. But let's be honest, they just need that rock solid midfielder next to Pogba, and they'll do well. Did I mention Fred? Like Fred, come on, you can do better than him. They could finish higher than this, 100%, no doubt about that. But they needed to do a little bit more, in my opinion, to truly challenge for the title. Third place, Liverpool. I don't really know why. Like, I could see Liverpool winning the league or just being happy with top four. Obviously, last season injuries is what cost Liverpool. They've got Van Dijk back now. They've just signed Ibu Konate for £30 million. The only real big outgoing is Harry Wilson to Fulham for £8 million. But other than that, that's about it. And he didn't even play for Liverpool. So, yeah, they haven't really done that much. And I thought they would do. Maybe if they had done a little bit more, i.e. getting a better striker than the likes of Firmino and Origi, I think they'll do even better than this. And of course, they've lost Wijnaldum to PSG. I think that's going to have quite a big impact on them. Second place, this will be their highest finish since they last won the Premier League back in 2017, Chelsea. Their squad is absolutely ridiculous. It is stacked in every single position. You tell me you have the audacity when you have Tammy Abraham and Timo Werner. And okay, Werner can't score, but my God, he was unlucky last season. He will come good this year, in my opinion. You go and sign Romelu Lukaku. And Tuchel did absolute wonders. What an unbelievable manager he is. And a top guy as well. Really rate Tuchel. He took them from mid-table to 4th and a Champions League win. And let's be honest, no one thought they'd win the Champions League at all. Now, they haven't signed Lukaku yet. So as of right now, they haven't actually signed a single player. But do they really need to? Like, I don't think they really need to, because the momentum that they had from last season with the same squad that was struggling under Lampard just proved that that team was being managed by a manager that quite simply was not good enough. Interesting to point out as well that every year that Abramovich has been their owner, they have not gone more than 4 seasons without winning the Premier League title. And it's 4 seasons since they won the Premier League title, so is it written in the stars for Chelsea? First place, Manchester City. How standard. Like, come on, it's so easy to say that, but why the hell would I not? They're absolutely stacked. It is simply unfair how good that team is. They're already unbelievable. A League Cup winner for a 4th year in a row, which is just boring. A Premier League winner when they were 9th at Christmas, by the way. And now they go and sign Jack Grealish, and they could even get Harry Kane. The luxury. Like, I'm sorry, the whole video you've watched me, you've looked at me wearing a Forest shirt. The luxury you top 6 fans have. They have lost, obviously, Sergio Aguero. You may have heard of him to Barcelona, but the way it's going with Barcelona, he might not even play for them. They're a world-class team. They should have won the Champions League. They're going to win the Premier League again this season. They'll win the League Cup again. What more can I say? They're Manchester City. They're ridiculous. Alright, that is my Premier League predictions. If you have enjoyed this video, please make sure you drop a like on it. Consider at least subscribing to the channel. We are very close to 1.8 thousand. The next video probably will be Thursday, which should be, hopefully, I'm not going to be an absolute pro at it straight away, because I've only ever done one vlog ever before. A vlog for Bradford City in the League Cup. And I'm so excited to go back to the City Ground. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.